all very much for coming. I appreciate you giving up your lunchtime, and I really hope to be able to share not just the science but also the real practical activities you can take away from the research and the science that you can implement every day in your life with your children. So that's what's really important to me, that we can turn the science of child development into the art of parenting. So I'll start with a little bit of background. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I am from the discipline of accounting, and I've been an accountant for over 25 years, and I've been working in business schools for that long. But 4 years ago, we were blessed with a son. And all of a sudden, here I am with this beautiful child, and intuition said, oh, he's so amazing, he's so beautiful, I love him so much. But then the reality was, I have to grow this little being. And I thought, I know a lot about accounting, I know a lot about teaching, I really know nothing about parenting. So I thought, that's okay, I've learned before, I'll learn again. So quickly down to the local bookshop, online, reference libraries, wherever I could get, stack of books, no problem. Started to read. And that's when my disappointment grew. For a start, those key questions that I wanted the answers to, so I knew what we could do to support our child's growth. One book would say this, one book would say that. For example, sleep with your baby. Do never sleep with your baby. Feed your child solids at 4 months. Don't even think about feeding your child at 4 months. Immunisation safe, immunisation's terrible. And I'm like, okay, so what do I do here? I thought, I'm a researcher. That's what I'm good at. So I went on to all the academic journals. I thought somebody out there must know the science of child development. This is where the dilemma began, and what I found was that the answers are actually out there. They are in scientific journals that are inaccessible to most parents. Not just inaccessible in the sense of they can't access them because they're in, journals that have to be paid for, and you'd have to go to a library and you'd have to know where you're looking. But secondly, you try and read this stuff from neuroscience, psychology, physiology, biology, and epigenetics and so on. I was just lucky that I was on maternity leave, and as we know at the university we have a great maternity leave program, so whenever the little one was asleep I was busy working. It became quite emotional for me at that point in time because I wanted to share everything I was learning with my mother's group, with anybody that would listen, because there was information out there, for example, like the increase in ADD and ADHD and behavioural problems that we've got can be linked to stress in pregnancy, and we know now that life is just becoming so much more complex, so much more stressful, yet why don't mothers know that? Why doesn't the whole society know that, so that when we see a pregnant mother we can say, hang on a sec, we need to shield her, because we're not only shielding her, we're shielding her unborn child, and we could be shielding that unborn child for life. So I started to read all this information, and I would cry, I would get angry, and I wanted to know why it wasn't available. Sorry. As you can see, I'm still passionate about this. So I decided that it was time that it was available. And so I contacted lots of experts from around the world, and I said to them, I'm just a mum, I'm on a mission, write into this book. And they did. I'm so pleased to say. My apology that I'm so emotional. It's just, I think the well-being of our children and parents is so important. I feel like parents have got such a huge role, and yet they get so little support. Like, can you think of any job in society that says, just jump straight in, no problem, you need no training, no education, no mentoring, no support, just jump straight in? And let alone the most complex job, raising a human being that has a mind, a body, a spirit. So I was fortunate enough to talk to lots of experts, and they generously gave up their time, and the book covers the latest research into child development. It covers from preconception, because lo and behold do I find out that in actual fact, your child's development starts before your child is a child. I know that sounds hard to believe, but epigenetics shows that what's happening in your body, in your psyche, in your body, in your emotions, what you're eating, what you're doing, affects the sperm and the egg. So therefore it affects conception and affects your child. So again, more information that I thought really has to be out there. So this book goes from preconception, has experts from all sorts of areas like genetics, neuroscience, psychologists, leading world experts across the areas, and they give really good advice on how we can practically implement what we know from science into our home. So one of the key things that was important when I was requesting this information was I said, this says how the leading minds of today raise their kids. So I want your stories. I want you to tell me how you did what you know in your home and what difference that made to your children. And I wanted to make it so accessible so you don't hear things like double-blind study, statistically significant results. There's none of that in there, but all the references are there. So if you want to know more, you can. Okay, so the chapters cover preconception through to teen years. They cover lots and lots of topics like how do we support emotional intelligence? How do we best nurture a baby from the time it's actually on the planet until it's moving into like toddlerhood? How do we help our teenagers manage this chaotic world, manage their chaotic emotions? How do we recognize them when we don't recognize them anymore? So there's all sorts of things in there, and the area that sort of the stream that goes right through is that the whole focus is on life skills, giving children life skills.